Well, look, I'd spent a lot of time in the personal papers of Sir John Kerr, the Governor General, and he had left some extracts from some of the letters. He'd also referred to many of the letters in those papers. So I had a reasonable idea about what they might say. What has been the big surprise here is just how many letters there are. There are hundreds of letters. There was obviously far more discussion between the Queen and the Governor General at the time, in what was one of the most tumultuous periods in Australia's history. This was an unprecedented time when the Governor General actually removed from office the elected government. And it was a government that retained its confidence in the House of Representatives, had a majority in the House of Representatives, and he did that without warning the government or the Prime Minister. So it's a very controversial time. And to see the level of communication between the Queen and the Governor General at the time has really been quite startling. There's the question of who made the final decision. And clearly, Sir John Kerr, the Governor General, made the final decision. But what we see in the weeks and the months even before that is this constant exchange with the Queen through her private secretary. And in fact, I think a critical set of letters comes only days before the dismissal of the government, and that is from the Queen saying to the Governor General that the reserve powers, that is the powers by which the Governor General could dismiss the government, do in fact exist, and they can be used at particular times. That's a really critical conversation to be having with the Queen at the time, and it's one really that the Governor General ought to have been having with the Prime Minister. The other startling thing about these letters is that the Governor General was not speaking to the Prime Minister, was not taking the advice of the Prime Minister, which he ought to have been doing at that time, and instead he's communicating with the palace. So there's a lot of troubling elements in these letters.